It's interesting that you brought up how humor is subjective, and
Mhm.
especially today. Like even then, the time you're talking about, like it was, but like today it's like times 10. Everything is
Super
under a
sensitive,
microscope.
yeah.
So what I want to talk about is a scene from the series Atlanta.
Mhm.
It's basically a transracial skit
Yeah, yeah.
where you identified as a 35-year-old white man,
Yeah.
correct? So, 2 questions. How did that even make its way to how first off, how was that created? And then how did that make its way to Atlanta, the series?
So that was created. It's funny because that skit specifically, um, well, that whole episode was centered around a skit that I had did.
Mm.
And it was a skit that I did when you realize you're transracial. Was
Mm.
actually I don't know if you remember the lady Rachel Dolezal.
The white lady
Yeah,
who
yeah,
claimed to
yeah.
be black, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I kind of took inspiration from her story and then I did a skit. And honestly, it's funny because I didn't even want to do the skit. I had the idea and then I was like, and then one of my older brothers, he was just like, nah, do it. And I was like, I'm not gonna do it. He went and got the supplies and everything for it. And then he
Mhm.
came back. He was like, I already bought the stuff. He was like, do
You
it.
got to
Yeah,
now,
yeah. So I
yeah.
was like, all right, I do it. So I did it. And then that skit went viral. And then and people are always like, you never know who watching your stuff. So
Right.
there was people from like Donald's camp and his team, they was watching it and stuff like that. And I had already like, amassed a following by then. So they had watched it and they thought it was funny. And then that's how they ended up. They was just like, well, we want to turn that into a whole episode. And then that's when they
Mm.
had like hit me up and then contacted me and they did that. And I really respect that because I mean he didn't have to include me in that at all. He could have just been like, oh, we seen that and I'm gonna do it my own way and don't include him at all. But he,
Right.
that was real genuine. He's one of the most genuine people I've met in the industry.
That's what's up, and
Yeah.
yeah, because when I seen it, because I watched Atlanta, and that episode I'm watching, I'm like, "Yo, I be seeing him on social
Yeah,
media,
yeah,
like, that's
yeah.
actually funny, but that's actually dope as hell,"
Yeah.
and you killed it too.
Yeah, appreciate it. And then I also got the opportunity to go back and then write for the second season. So, you know what
Wow.
I mean? That was another fire thing that just came from that. And it all just came from just, putting stuff out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You said you got the opportunity to write for the 2nd season.
Mhm.
Could you break that down?
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical like. Well, let me not say typical. So for people that may not understand, you do
Mhm,
writers' rooms for shows and
mhm.
TV series. Like you sit down with a bunch of writers and you brainstorming. You come up with different things and kind of like map out how seasons and
Yeah.
episodes is gonna go. So that was what we was able to do. And that was a cool process. And that was just like unbelievable to just be even a part of that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's just like you got all of these different moments through the timeline of like the things that you're doing where like you'll look back and you'll be like, dang, like you never thought like it would come to this, you know what I mean?
Right.
But it's like here you are and you here
Right.
and it just be mind blowing, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's kinda like you don't really realize in the moment, like, that you're in
Yeah,
that
it's like a
moment.
fever dream. You like
Yeah.
and then I'll tell people like stuff be such a blur because it's like you're doing so much and it's so much that like you're like, damn, I didn't plan for this, but then this
Mhm.
happened, and then you like,
Mhm.
this is happening, and
Mhm.
now you over here doing this, and it's
Mhm.
like it all just be a blur because you ain't planned for it for real,
Yeah.
and it's just like it be God's plan for real.
Absolutely, and I will mention that the prepara being prepared for that moment is big
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
because 'cause you'll see people that wish for that moment, but don't put no work or
yeah,
preparation into it, and when that moment arrives, they crash and burn out.
yeah.
They're not ready to use that as momentum to move forward, like you
Hmm.
said. So, what was it like being on set, actually doing that scene during the show?
Being on set and even with the like subjective aspect of it,
Mhm.
I didn't really care. I
Mm.
mean, because the thing is, like, even with my comedy and the things that I do now, I make fun of everybody. I mean, I got sketches where I'm making fun of disabled people,
Mhm.
black people, white people, religious in any type of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I feel like that's what it should be. Um, it's fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need a break from real life sometimes. So it's just like
Absolutely.
even in doing that sketch, I knew what it would look like.
Mhm.
Um, I knew how it could potentially present, and I was cool with that.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel no pressure. as far as that, everybody on set was like super cool. Everybody on set was like super supportive, and it was just fun. It was like a fun thing all around,
Mhm.
from top to bottom. Honestly, it
Yeah.
was a fun experience.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. Did you get to see what's the his girl's name on the show? I think it's like Zoe something.
Oh yeah, yeah,
She
yeah.
fine as hell.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my
I was
god.
able to kick it with the whole cast, kick it with everybody,
Yeah.
and just being around everybody. And yeah, it's just funny, like just just the dynamics.
What was the biggest surprise?
Like being on set.
Yeah.
Honestly, the biggest surprise to me because that was probably the first. That's probably like the first big set I want to say I've been on.
Mhm.
So it was more so the biggest surprise to me was just the moving pieces behind the scenes and
Mhm.
like how much it take to make certain things happen. Like,
Mm.
one scene. Like people would see one scene, they don't know how much went into that scene. Like
Right.
50 people involved
Yeah.
in this one kitchen scene. And
Yeah.
the angle might not even be moving, but it's so many like layers to
Mhm.
what made this shot beautiful,
Yeah.
what made this shot work from wardrobe, makeup to PAs and everybody on set, like really playing their part and really knowing their role and playing their role. It's cool to see like just a moving wheel.
Yeah.
And that's something that a lot of people don't be able to see behind the
Right. We
scenes.
just see the
Yeah, you
screen.
see the finished product. So
Yeah.
I think that was like the biggest thing to me. I was like, damn, I didn't know it like took that much at the time. That was my first big set.
That's what's up. One thing I really like about that skit is how ahead of its time it was.
Hmm.
Cause when that came out, the lady, I forgot the name that we're speaking about, that was white, that
Yeah, yeah,
identified
yeah.
as black, like that was one thing in its own. But we're in the world today where you can identify as anything,
Yeah.
like
Whatever you want.
a robot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like everyone's doing a trans blank.
Yeah.
So that was ahead of its time, which I really looking back at it, I'm like, damn, like that's crazy. Like, was that the intention? Like, did you know it was gonna lead up to like where we are now with times?
Nah, and you know what's funny? That's why I say like, and I'll tell anybody like, just don't. You cannot miss the moment because you
Mhm.
you don't know what you're putting out into the world.
Mhm.
And like honestly, I be feeling like you tapped into another realm when you creating freely,
Yeah.
because you could say something and do something and it's just in your mind right now,
Yeah.
but then something might click or something within the universe and the world like might just happen to be lined up exactly with what you did. So even when I did that sketch, like I didn't know, well, I knew Rachel Dolezal was doing what she was doing,
Mhm.
but I just thought it was funny to like, and I had white face on and everything in that
Yeah.
skit.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was funny to take it further, like and jump off the ledge with what she was already doing. And that's just a part of me finding the humor in it. But art imitates life.
Mm.
So, and some people say it vice versa, life
Mhm.
imitates art.
Yeah.
So they both influence one another. So I'm not surprised that like when I look at like today and how everything is and just the things that people do and say,
Yeah.
I'm not surprised because there was something in me that saw that even within what she was doing, and
Mhm.
everybody was calling her out too for it, like how you just identifying as black now and
Right.
like, so but she was doing it. And yeah, I think just making it more mainstream and putting it at a different level
Mhm.
just puts more eyes on it.
Yeah.
So it's just, I think it's just the whole sentiment of art imitating life and life imitating art. Same thing with music. Music do the
Yeah.
same thing.
Yeah.
Like we making stuff about what you see and what's going on.
Right.